Pop singer Michael Jackson has died. Jackson was not breathing when paramedics arrived at his home after a 911 call.
3 bodyguards he trusted with his life, speaking out for the first time.
There was something I could share with his passing, his no longer being here. I knew there was something that from things I've witnessed about him, that I almost felt like an obligation to speak up on his behalf.
The world thought it knew Michael Jackson, but his bodyguard, the man who stood closest to him in his final years, says, "We only saw what they wanted us to see." Behind the headlines, behind the chaos, and behind the rumors that followed him to his grave, there was a different story waiting to be told, one that challenges everything the public believed about his final days.
What's the biggest misconception of Michael?
He was misunderstood, definitely misunderstood. But we all have to understand that he was accused of something that in so many people's eyes would never go away. I've lost friends that believe otherwise. And as a friend, if you don't believe me, if you believe that I would continue to work for someone that was guilty of that, okay, then you questioning my judgment.
Bill Whitfield wasn't just a security guard. He was Michael's last bodyguard, hired in 2006, and he stayed by the King of Pop's side until the very end. He saw the private moments, the hidden struggles, and the real reasons behind the public meltdowns. According to Bill, the narrative that Michael was a frail, broken man on the brink of collapse in 2009 is nothing but a lie. In reality, Michael was physically strong, focused, and determined during those final months. He was preparing for the This Is It tour, not just as a comeback, but as a way to secure his family's future. This wasn't a man giving up. This was a man fighting back.
I think he was good health, definitely. He ate well, junk food every so often, but he had a personal chef that prepared his meals, and he certainly ate well. Walked on a treadmill from time to time, took walks. I think he was in good physical health.
So, what really happened? And why does Bill say what the public has been told was a lie? Let's separate fact from fiction, starting with the version of events the media never had access to.
Definitely, he certainly had left an impression on us of someone that was totally different than what many of us have seen in tabloids and the media.
If you believe the tabloids during the weeks leading up to the 25th of June 2009, you probably thought Michael Jackson was barely holding on. They painted a picture of a man who was physically frail, mentally unstable, and possibly unable to complete the rigorous schedule of the This Is It tour. The headline screamed of financial ruin and health scares.
The new lawsuit claiming Michael Jackson was more than $500 million in debt at the time of his death.
It made his sudden death from cardiac arrest seem inevitable. It was a tragedy waiting to happen. At least that's what the newspapers wanted you to believe.
Before we learn what caused his death, he reportedly, though, suffered cardiac arrest at his home.
But Bill Whitfield's account turns that narrative completely on its head. Bill says that during the rehearsals, Michael was anything but fragile. He described the singer as joyful, engaged, and in control. While Bill was stationed in Las Vegas, his daily observations of Michael showed no signs of impending doom. He recalls a physically strong and motivated performer who was meticulously preparing for what he hoped would be a spectacular return to the stage. He was a perfectionist at the peak of his creative vision, not a star on the verge of collapsing. Bill has also been very open about the financial struggles that plagued Michael during this time. It's no secret that Michael had significant debt, but Bill offers a ground-level view of what that actually looked like. He recalls being asked to leave hotels because the credit cards were denied. He remembers the stress of dealing with unpaid bills while still trying to maintain a sense of normalcy for Michael's 3 children. This was a part of the daily reality that the public rarely considered.
There were times in which we were asked to leave hotels because the credit card on file was not going through. There were individuals responsible for handling Mr. Jackson's financial status, financial business. Some individuals was not doing what they were supposed to do. Wasn't that he did not have money. Mr. Jackson could have never gone broke. Never.
However, Bill firmly believes Michael's death wasn't simply about money or drugs. In various interviews, Bill has repeated a phrase that he says defines the tragedy. Michael Jackson left He left this world. This world was mean to him. He argues that stress played the most significant role, not just from the upcoming tour, but from the immense pressure of being one of the most scrutinized men on the planet.
I've often told people, and I'm a stand by it. I tell people Michael Jackson left. That's what I tell people. I tell people he left. He left this world. This world was mean to him. When people ask me what do I think killed him, I tell them stress certainly played its role. He was going through so much. There were so many people that wanted a part of him, trying to control him, trying to control me.
Bill also made it clear that there were people involved behind the scenes. They even tried to control him. They wanted him to get Michael to sign some documents.
I do believe there was several pieces of involvement, not just one person.
They was trying to control you?
Oh yeah. I had, he had a management team, legal advisors that would try to get me to whether there were documents they wanted him to sign, and they would send documents to me, whether email, fax.
Bill talks about the vultures circling Michael after the This Is It tour dates were announced. People who had been absent for years suddenly showed up, all wanting a piece of his comeback. Bill heard Michael say it himself. Now you're gonna see the vultures coming. That kind of pressure, Bill suggests, is what truly wore him down.
Well, he did make that comment. I remember when he signed off that it was finalized that he would be doing the This Is It show in London. And when that started to format itself, that's when he said to me, he said, Bill, now you're going to see the vultures coming. I didn't understand what that meant at the time, but as things progressed, he was talking about people that he hadn't heard from in years, because it was a big thing for him to put together a tour. So everybody and anybody wanted to be part of it. And there was going to be people.
Bill also breaks his silence on a topic that has haunted Michael's legacy more than any other, the allegations. Because Bill was with Michael during his most vulnerable moments, he paid close attention to how Michael interacted with his children and others. He told The Sun that he initially went into the job with some questions, just like everyone who had heard the stories. But after spending years by his side, Bill is absolutely convinced that Michael was innocent.
To work directly with him, closely with him, I couldn't help but find myself looking or just visually paying attention to just everything more so. Hey, I was in security, so you certainly do pay attention to everything that's going on in the surroundings, everything on the outside going on of the perimeter. But I found myself also paying attention to who he was.
Bill says that nothing like that even remotely came to the surface to make me believe or assume otherwise. I'm just sorry he wasn't around long enough to tell his side of the story so people could get a better understanding of who he was. Bill defends Michael's character, insisting he would never hurt a child and that the accusations were financially motivated.
He was not the man or the person that people, tabloids, depicted him as. And I was happy, even to this day.
While Bill Whitfield paints a picture of a strong but stressed artist, another former bodyguard, Matt Fiddes, provides a different layer of insight into Michael's state of mind. Matt, who worked with Michael for a decade, shares stories of an angrier, more frustrated side of the superstar, often directed at his business partners. Matt recalls a specific incident following the release of the album Invincible. Michael was furious, screaming on the phone and even sobbing in his bathroom, convinced that Sony Music was sabotaging his album. He felt that they weren't promoting it correctly because they wanted it to fail. Why? Because Michael had used his most valuable asset, his music catalog, which included the Beatles songs as collateral to get a loan for the album.
He wouldn't show that to the staff, but he had hundreds of staff. He would talk to his PA, and I'd hear him screaming, that person's fired, that's it now, and this, and they got to meet this target. We would go to, I'll give you an example, local example, we'd go to the big HMV that was in Oxford Street, and he didn't want anyone to know. And I used to say to him, do you want to get it shut down? Because Michael Jackson, they would shut it down for him. That was a normal procedure when we go out. He said, no, I want to check that Sony Music are distributing my records properly and the quality of the CDs are good.
Matt also suggests that Michael's feelings of being manipulated extended to his medical care. He believed Michael was susceptible to manipulation by certain doctors. He claims some doctors would prescribe medication to create an addiction, making Michael feel like he needed them around constantly. They convinced him he had issues that required their specific brand of care, using his dependents to stay in his life.
Do you think Michael was very susceptible to manipulation?
Some people got in his life and they would, by doctors, yeah, because the doctors were clever. They were prescribing something, get him addicted on it, and then he felt like he needed them in his life and convinced him that he had a medical issue. And they used that addiction to stay in his life.
This is a crucial detail because it highlights a vulnerability that the media often sensationalizes without fully understanding. When Michael told Matt on the phone that the doctor gave me something just days before his death, it likely fit into this pattern of trusting his medical caregivers implicitly.
Didn't see it as drugs because the doctor was giving it to him, so he saw it as medication and he thought it was okay. Now, let me tell you something, right? In Hollywood, and since Michael's died, it's been quite talked about now. If you took all the celebrities out of Hollywood that have not taken drugs, these prescription drugs, there'd be no one left. It was the thing that they did back then to handle this stress. So Michael wouldn't take recreational drugs. You wouldn't take him to seeing drug and cocaine.
Michael Jackson had to rely on constant prescription medication for the rest of his life following that Pepsi commercial accident. But as told by his bodyguards, Michael was strong and engaged just hours before his death. How did things go so terribly wrong? The official timeline is well documented, but it's worth revisiting through the lens of what Bill and Matt witnessed. On the 24th of June, 2009, Michael performed his final full-dress rehearsal at the Staples Center. Those in attendance described a strong performance, with Michael executing complex dance routines and singing with his signature vocal precision. He stayed until around midnight and then returned home to his rented Holmby Hills mansion, feeling energized by the work he had done.
So my ex-wife would answer the phone, and it was Michael, and he wanted to speak to me. And I spoke to him. He didn't sound himself. He sounded completely out of it, high as a kite, speaking really fast. So I just said to him, Michael, well, have you taken something? Yeah, the doctor's giving me ephedrine because they say if I don't get the rehearsals right tonight, they're going to pull the plug. And I'm going to owe them all this money. They're going to sue me. And, oh man, Matt, they treat me so bad. I don't know what to do.
The next morning, June 25, started quietly, but at 12:21 p.m., a 911 call was placed from the mansion. The caller reported an unresponsive male who was not breathing. The audio of the call reveals the chaos, with the caller giving the address and mentioning that a personal doctor was present. At 1:14 p.m., Michael arrived at the UCLA Medical Center in full cardiac arrest. Despite a team of doctors fighting for over an hour, at 2:26 p.m., Michael Jackson was officially pronounced dead.
Where are you? And I said, I'm at home. I said, I know what you're going to tell me. Yeah, he said, Michael's dead, Matt. I said, wow. I said, what happened? He said, well, I don't know, but I just spoke to the nanny and she was screaming down the phone, Michael's dead, Michael's dead, Michael's dead. And that's all I know. Just thought I'd let you know that it's going to be mayhem.
The official coroner's report later ruled the death a homicide caused by acute propofol intoxication. Propofol is a powerful anesthetic that should only be used in a hospital setting with professional monitoring. Dr. Conrad Murray, Michael's personal physician, was charged and eventually convicted of involuntary manslaughter for administering the drug to treat Michael's insomnia.
Awaiting the verdict in the Michael Jackson involuntary manslaughter case against Dr. Conrad Murray.
Bill Whitfield has said that it was hard to believe how a man who appeared healthy in the rehearsal footage could be gone just hours later. The bodyguard who watched Michael's back for years couldn't protect him from the very medical care that was supposed to keep him alive. After hearing the stories from Bill Whitfield and Matt Fiddes, it's clear that the public narrative of Michael Jackson's final days was incomplete. The truth is layered and complicated. It involves a man who is physically capable of a massive tour, yet mentally weighed down by lawsuits, debt, and a broken trust in the people around him. He was a father who wanted to shield his kids from the madness, and a performer who was desperately trying to prove to the world that he still had it. Bill Whitfield summarized it best when he described the cause of death not as a single factor, but as a lot of everything. And in that everything, he included a lot of us, the pressure of a world that wouldn't stop wanting a piece of him. After hearing the bodyguard's perspective, do you think the public still misunderstands Michael Jackson's final days? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe for more. I will see you in the next video.